This is my mom and dad's house, and after spending a bunch of money on this NFT project and having it fail, I'm moving back in here. Alright, maybe it's not that dramatic, but I did create an NFT project that I thought was going to be revolutionary for photography. I thought it was a great idea, incorporated some fantastic utility being these 30 by 30 prints, and it fell flat on its face. So today we're going to talk about it. We're going to go over everything I know about NFTs, photography, what I learned, how you can apply it to what you're doing. Let's get into it. YouTube, what is good? So this is my favorite type of video on the channel. I love going out, trying new ideas, seeing what I get right, what I get wrong, and giving you all the information that I have so you can be equipped to find more success than I did. And today's topic is photography NFTs. So if you're new here, my name is Evan Ramft, and this channel is dedicated to exploring photography ideas and making money with your camera and living a better creative life. So if that sounds like something you're into, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit a thumbs up on today's video if you enjoy it. So here's what drew me to NFTs in the first place. And I realize this is kind of a hot topic item right now amongst creators. Some people love NFTs, some people hate NFTs, some people have it muted on their social media. I completely get it. And at the end of the video, I'm going to explain why I think this is. But what drew me to NFTs in the first place is one, this idea of building a trackable community around your art. You see, on Instagram, someone can look at your work, they can be a fan of your work, they can buy a print of your work, but you really have no way of knowing who owns that print unless they directly contact you or you do some type of Google sheet where people respond to you. But with NFTs, the art is coded into a blockchain, so you can see exactly who owns a piece of art and essentially give people rewards or perks or track whoever owns whatever it is that you're creating. The technology has a lot of potential to it, and that's what drew me into it, the idea of being able to track and keep up with everyone who owns something that I make. And another thing that really drew me to NFTs was this concept of royalties for artists on secondhand sales. So what this means is, let's say I sell a traditional print to you today, you can go and sell that print in 20 years for thousands of dollars more than you paid for it. Now, as an artist, that's great. That means I left some type of legacy or I did something impactful. But the problem is my family sees none of that money. Whereas with NFTs, if a sale happens in 10 years, my wallet is going to get a transaction fee and a percentage of that sale. So this concept of royalties really intrigued me, and it was something I wanted to learn more about. So around October last year, I believe I included it in one of the vlogs. I was talking about buying a doodle, which I wish I had done in hindsight, but around that time last year, I got in contact with one of my friends who used to work at F-Stoppers. Now he's a coder, and basically every week we had conference calls where for an hour and 30 minutes, he would explain to me everything I needed to know about NFTs, and it was extremely complicated and hard to understand at first. So around January, I began experimenting, buying and selling and losing a bunch of money on different profile picture projects, on different photography projects. Now, after doing this for about 2 months, in late February, I started to identify what I liked and what I disliked about NFTs, especially photography NFTs. Now, this is going to rub some people the wrong way. Not everyone agrees with me on this, and I completely understand. But from my perspective, someone who likes to solve problems and with an objective of bringing my fan base into NFTs and taking advantage of this technology that I found interesting, I thought that one thing that was lacking for photographers was the lack of incentive for holders. So if someone buys my photography NFT, typically what happens right now is nothing. For the most part, people buy the NFT and they hope that the artist continues to grow, continues to build a name for themselves, and that NFT will be worth more money in the future. Now, this is a cool concept. I completely understand it. It's how it works by buying a print. That's how art is. You're banking on an artist to get bigger and essentially their work to become more valuable. But with emerging technology like this, I felt that it'd be better for holders to have some type of incentive, something to drive the value of the NFT up. So what I did is I came up with a plan, a huge roadmap on my website. I published it there. Right now it's on pause because of the success of this project. But essentially, here's what I wanted to do for people who bought and held my NFT. First things I wanted to do was anyone who bought the initial 12 NFTs I released from a collection that I was calling Figures would get a 30 by 30 frame print like this. These prints are very expensive to make. These are professionally done. I did them through my printing lab, and I think they look absolutely amazing. So I ended up printing 12 of these, and the idea was I was going to release 12 individual NFTs with this figure theme. And immediately if someone purchased that NFT, they were going to get that print with it. So there's an immediate incentive. But on the back end, if they held on to that NFT or they sold it, the person who bought it would get whitelisted for a larger collection coming out later in the year. And I should probably say what the term whitelist means. If you're whitelisted for an NFT project, it means that you have access to purchasing and collecting a certain amount of the NFTs when the large project drops. So in my case, I was going to do this large figures collection that was going to be 1,000 different photos. There was going to be 3 rarity levels on this project. So the most rare was going to be what I called the framed editions. These were going to be photos that had unique frames around them on the digital JPEG. And then there was going to be 100 signature editions. The signature editions were going to have my signature in the bottom corner, and then there was going to be 800 standard editions, which were just going to be 800 regular JPEG photos from this figure collection. So then from there, if you were someone who minted, which means essentially paid for the creation of one of those 100 signature or 100 framed photos, you were going to immediately have access to a soft cover book that was the figures collection, and that book was only going to be available to NFT holders. And then I was going to do a random drawing of the 800 people who held onto the standard. And then I was going to introduce more things to the roadmap over time, but I was really inclined to make sure that people who purchased and supported anything from this NFT project were getting some type of immediate value from it. I wanted to maintain the value of the NFT for the holder. And lo and behold, nobody cared. So before I give you more insights into where I went wrong and what you can do differently, I want to thank our sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes and members across 150 countries who come together to find inspiration and take the next step in their creative journey. So how many of y'all have something new you're trying to learn in 2022? Skillshare is the perfect place to get started. From photography to illustration to graphic design, freelance, self-help, it doesn't matter what this new interest is, Skillshare can help you make 2022 a new year of learning, growth, and connection through creativity. 2 classes that I find particularly interesting as I'm continuing to build and grow this YouTube channel is Finding Fulfillment Using Pivots to Power Your Creative Career by Emma Gannon, and YouTube Success Script, Shoot, and Edit with MKBHD. One of the biggest tech YouTubers out there has his own classes on Skillshare that you can learn from. So Skillshare has a special offer for everyone viewing today's video. The first 1,000 people to use the link in the description on today's video will get a free 1-month trial of Skillshare. That's the first 1,000 people to use the link in the description will get a free 1-month trial of Skillshare. You can also use the code listed in the link down below. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Didn't work at all. This value proposition that I came up with was not enough to convince people to try out NFTs. And here's what I realized from doing this project, and here's where I don't think I went wrong, but I think it's a reality of getting into this NFT space, and it's something that I definitely recommend you pay attention to if you're someone who wants to start selling NFTs and get into it. You have to go all in. And that was my problem. You see, I'm like a YouTube guy. I'm a social media guy who also had an NFT project, but I'm not exactly in that space. My objective here was to try to get my audience to participate in this new technology, to provide some value for them, being these exclusive prints, exclusive books, these cool different things, just trying something new with my audience. But at the end of the day, this NFT technology, it's not something that everyone is adopting. Cryptocurrency is very volatile. It's just something that hasn't hit the mainstream yet. Will it? It's very possible. A lot of people are speculating on that, and that's the reason why there is such a hardcore NFT community on places like Twitter and places like Discord. I don't know if I should even include Discord on there technically, because Discord is where a lot of projects go to host their community, but basically everyone who's involved with these projects is very active on Discord and very active on Twitter, which is something that I wasn't very active in. I wasn't actively participating in it, so it's no surprise that I wasn't able to draw in the people who really believed in this technology and really believed in NFTs being the future of art. See what I'm saying here? If you want to make sales, you have to go to where the sales are happening. And right now, sales are not really happening in regular people who might follow me on YouTube and converting them over into someone who is going to purchase an NFT. You have to start in the place where people already believe in it. So if you're a photographer interested in doing an NFT project, what I recommend is getting involved with these communities and actively participating. Now, for me, I'm someone who, I've talked about this before, I'm not someone who's very good at making friends with random people on the internet. It's just not something that naturally comes to me. For the most part, I'm kind of an introverted person, and I don't like playing this game where I pretend like I know someone when I don't actually know them. But I understand that it comes very naturally to a lot of people, and a lot of people love to make friends and build communities online. So if that sounds like you, NFTs could be a place that you strive in and you excel in, and you're able to really build a name for yourself. I've seen it time and time again, photographers going from someone who is really not making any money to making quite a bit of money in the NFT space and actively participating and collecting other people's work. So with all that said, if you want to be someone who is getting into NFTs, don't be like me. Don't try to convince people of the technology and try to get people to switch over. Go to where the technology has already been adopted and find your way into those communities and actively participate in them and be someone bringing something new to that space. There's a reason why NFT photographers annoy people so much on Twitter. It's because it's all they talk about. But in reality, it's their brand now. They're not just a photographer, they're an NFT photographer. Just like I'm a YouTube photographer, I guess you could say, that is what other people are doing. So that's all my insight that I have on NFTs. I did this, like I said, as an experiment, as a way to learn, and as a way to teach y'all. It's something that I'm gonna include in my course that I put out later this year. That's another main reason why I did this, is so I could include a chapter on it and feel like I was well-versed in explaining how it all worked. If you have any questions about it, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I realize it's very complicated. I'll answer questions for the first 2 hours today. You are the truth. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.